I haven't seen the final edit of the whole movie, but I've seen dailies, clips. I think it's pretty good.
Remember Ice Cube, the man who once called himself America's Most Wanted? He was one of the boldest voices in rap, the guy who went from N.W.A.'s fierce lyricist to a solo icon who shook up the music world. But then, somewhere along the way, he seemed to vanish from the spotlight. What really happened to the man who once had the entire industry on edge? Could it be something scandalous? Join us as we unveil the truth behind his sudden disappearance. You will be surprised. The truth behind his rise and why he vanished. Hip-hop has seen countless legends come and go, but few changed the game quite like Ice Cube did. From his early days with N.W.A. to his explosive solo career, Ice Cube really challenged the system in the most controversial ways ever. But he also reshaped the culture. Yet, despite his massive influence, he slowly slipped out of the music spotlight. What caused one of hip-hop's fiercest voices to disappear? The answer is deeper than anyone expected. Ice Cube rose from the streets of South Central Los Angeles with a vision far bigger than fame. When he joined N.W.A., rap was still trying to break into the mainstream, but Cube's hard, unfiltered flow changed that. Alongside Eazy-E, Dr. Dre, MC Ren, and DJ Yella, he helped turn gangsta rap into a cultural force, one that forced America to listen to the stories it had long ignored. By the late 1980s, Ice Cube became famous for using his music to challenge societal issues. During an interview in 1989, he explained that the so-called war on drugs in Los Angeles had really become a war on young black men. He said the police treated every black youth like a criminal simply because of how they looked or dressed. That harsh reality inspired N.W.A.'s most controversial song, F the Police. The title alone grabbed attention, but Cube's goal was never just to shock people. He said he wanted listeners to look beyond the harsh language and understand the anger and pain behind it. He wanted the world to know what life was truly like in Compton, a place where police harassment and brutality were a part of everyday reality. The group didn't expect their message to spread so far. Ice Cube admitted that when they started, they were only making music for themselves and their neighborhood.
Seemed like they punched the wrong clock on Rick, though, man.
They never thought their unpolished songs would travel beyond Compton, let alone become a worldwide movement. Yet their voices went far beyond their city, sparking mixed feelings. Ice Cube became the voice of a generation tired of being silenced. He exposed a truth many preferred to ignore, but that fame came with a price. Government agencies and media critics targeted the group, calling them dangerous. For Cube, though, it was never about controversy. He once said that people only needed to listen to his records to understand what was happening in Los Angeles before the riots even began. His words were warnings. After leaving N.W.A., Ice Cube continued his mission through solo albums like Ameri KKK's Most Wanted and Death Certificate. His message became louder, and he rapped more about racism, corruption, and survival in America, the very things few artists dared to say out loud and always shied away from. Critics called him radical, but fans saw him as a truth-teller, a prophet in a time of chaos. But as years passed, something shifted. Cube began exploring new ways to tell his stories through film. From Boys in the Hood to Friday,
Had this shit on about living in a violent world.
he used the big screen to show the same reality he once rapped about. And while this new path made him one of Hollywood's most successful creators, it also showed his quiet retreat from the raw world of hip-hop that built him. That's why, to many fans, it seemed like Ice Cube had vanished. The fire that once burned through his records had transformed into something else. But the real question is, what truly made him transition from letting his truth be known through his voice to choosing to act it out in films? Did it have anything to do with being America's Most Wanted? America's Most Wanted. Ice Cube's rise was nothing short of phenomenal. In 1990, after splitting from N.W.A., he released his solo debut, America's Most Wanted, an album that tore through the music world. It was angry and brutally honest. Cube once explained that he called himself America's Most Wanted because he was doing what the system didn't want him to do. His lyrics carried the frustration and truth of a generation that felt ignored. That energy made him unstoppable. But before that success came a major gamble. Cube had walked away from one of the biggest rap groups in history and reportedly received only about $32,000 from the massive success of Straight Outta Compton. He later revealed that his decision to leave was about respect, saying he had to choose between keeping his pride or losing it. That choice changed everything. Unable to work with Dr. Dre due to label restrictions from Ruthless Records, Cube went looking for a new sound and found it in New York with the Bomb Squad, the production team behind Public Enemy. It was an unexpected move, pairing a West Coast rapper with East Coast producers, but it worked perfectly. According to producer Hank Shockley, Cube arrived at their studio carrying notebooks filled with lyrics and ideas. He reportedly slept on the studio floor for days, writing non-stop. The result was pure fire.
Sid, do you want your stuff for me, man? Get some corn in there.
Nigga, I ain't the one she told to go get it. Show wife, you go get the shit.
America KKA's Most Wanted became a hip-hop milestone, powerful and impossible to ignore. It proved that Cube didn't need N.W.A. to make history. Critics who doubted him were silenced, and fans were blown away. For a moment, he ruled the rap world, but fame brought a different kind of pressure. After his following projects, including Kill It Will and Death Certificate, Ice Cube found himself in the midst of controversy. His songs were labeled as too political, too angry, and even too dangerous for public consumption. He went from being celebrated as the voice of the people to being criticized and closely watched by the same system he had spoken against. The power of his words made him both influential and intimidating to many. Then, another turn came, a venture into Hollywood. Ice Cube started acting and producing films. With roles in Boys in the Hood and Friday, he showed that his talent went far beyond music. As his movie career grew, his focus slowly shifted from rap to film. The man who once dominated hip-hop stages was now commanding big screens. That's when fans began to feel his absence. But in truth, Ice Cube only evolved. He no longer needed to fight through his lyrics. He was telling stories through film instead.
Yo, Chief, here you go. Ain't no problem.
His message remained the same, but his platform had changed. Many still wonder why he stepped back from hardcore rap. Some say it was because of music industry politics. Others believe he simply outgrew the chaos and wanted a new path. Whatever the reason, Cube did what he had always done. He walked away on his own terms. Leaving the studio didn't mean everything turned out rosy. Soon, people started saying his movies showed him as nothing more than an angry, hot-headed man. But was that really who he was? About Ice Cube's rage. Ice Cube has never been the kind of artist who plays it safe. From the start, Ice Cube's lyrics had always been filled with raw emotion and unfiltered language. Even today, the profanity in his early albums feels intense. Back then, it was shocking. His records were banned from the radio, and politicians called his music dangerous. The anger in his songs often overshadowed the messages buried inside them. People who didn't like him pointed to his words and called his work filthy, offensive, and always crossing the line. Yet for Cube, his harsh language wasn't about shock value, it was about honesty. In a 1991 interview with activist Angela Davis, he explained that the streets had their own language, and if he wanted to be heard, he had to speak it. He said that those who thought he hated women or glorified violence simply didn't understand his lyrics or the situations he was describing. He believed critics stopped listening once they heard the cursing, missing the deeper meaning behind his rage. Still, even some of his supporters found parts of his music difficult to defend. His early songs included moments of misogyny and homophobia, which often distracted from the political fire that defined much of his work.
Meet me at my house in 5 minutes.
But Cube remained unapologetic. For him, his music wasn't meant to be polite or comfortable. It was meant to reflect real life, as messy and harsh as it was. Race played a central role in much of Ice Cube's early writing. By 1991, when he was creating his album Death Certificate, Los Angeles was a city on edge. Tensions between the black community and Korean shop owners were dangerously high. The spark came when Soon Ja-do, a Korean store owner, shot and unalived a 15-year-old black girl named Latasha Harlins, accusing her of trying to steal. The shooter received no prison time, a decision that sent shockwaves through the black community. Cube responded the only way he knew how, through his music. He wrote Black Korea, a 46-second track filled with fury. The song was a furious cry against injustice. In it, he warned store owners to show respect or face consequences, a reflection of the anger boiling in South Central at the time. Critics accused him of fueling racial tension, especially after the 1992 Los Angeles riots. But to Cube, he was speaking for people who had no voice, expressing the outrage that many were too afraid to say aloud. If Black Korea was social anger turned into music, then No Vaseline was personal vengeance in its purest form. The track, aimed directly at his former N.W.A. bandmates, remains one of the most brutal diss songs in hip-hop history. Cube tore into them line by line, calling out betrayal, greed, and manipulation. The song ended any hope of reconciliation with his old crew, but cemented his reputation as one of the fiercest lyricists alive. Over time, Ice Cube became known as the rapper you love to hate. His music wasn't meant to please everyone. It was meant to challenge everyone. He said what others avoided, using his pain and anger to expose more profound truths about race, poverty, and power. Even decades later, that intensity still defines him. Ice Cube never tried to clean up his image or smooth over his past. He stood by his words, no matter how uncomfortable they were. But behind No Vaseline was a personal anger. What triggered Ice Cube's most brutal diss song in hip-hop, and how did his fans react to it? A different kind of fuel. When Ice Cube dropped his solo debut, a merry KKK's Most Wanted, he chose not to fire back at his old crew, N.W.A. It was a simple show of respect, but that silence didn't last long. Soon after, N.W.A. released Real N.A.Z. in 1990, a track that took clear aim at Cube. That was all he needed. The piece was over. Ice Cube picked up his pen, and what came next would ignite one of hip-hop's most explosive feuds. His response was No Vaseline, a song that tore into his former bandmates and their manager Jerry Heller. It was an all-out declaration of war. Cube accused N.W.A. of letting Heller, who was Jewish, control their business decisions. The lyrics crossed every line imaginable, filled with anger, anti-Semitic slurs, and violent imagery.
She's probably going to that new hip club down on 108th.
Oh, so they opened that already?
Yup.
Even in a genre known for controversy, this track was almost impossible to ignore. Jewish organizations demanded the record be pulled from stores, and critics reacted fiercely. Renowned journalist Robert Christgau labeled Cube a straight-up bigot, simple and plain. Billboard called the song racist and hateful, but others saw things differently. Writer James Bernard, defending Cube in Entertainment Weekly, argued that people who condemned his language missed the larger truth. He wrote that Cube's words came from real pain, from communities left behind, where friends ended up dead or in prison, and dreams burned alongside the city blocks. For those living in that reality, he said, there was no polite way to speak. Despite the backlash, Cube denied being hateful. In an interview with Cream magazine, he insisted he wasn't against anyone because of their race or religion. He said he was pro-black and only anti-poor, meaning his fight was against inequality, not people. His stance, though hard to defend, reflected his complicated reality, torn between fury and consciousness, violence and vision. Author Ben Westhoff later described Death Certificate, the album that housed Cube's most controversial tracks, as both offensive and inspiring. An album that was bigoted yet brutally honest, misogynistic yet full of purpose. That contradiction defined Ice Cube. His music was messy, conflicted, and uncomfortable, but it was also real. Then came a surprising twist. After all the chaos, Cube took a softer turn with his third album, The Predator. Predator, written in the aftermath of the 1992 Los Angeles riots. The city was still smoldering from unrest, and fans expected another record full of anger and protest. Instead, Cube shocked everyone with a track that radiated peace and gratitude. It was a good day. The song painted a rare picture of calm.
Mama!
A day that went right. For a rapper known for rage, it was a moment of reflection. Some of his team even told him not to release it. He later explained that they warned him it was too soft, too cheerful for his image. But Cube stood firm. He said that life in the neighborhood wasn't all war. There were good days too, and those moments deserved to be celebrated. In a 2005 interview, he recalled how he was at the top of his career, finally living the life he had dreamed of. After the riots and years of hardship, he wanted to show another side, one that appreciated peace and success. It wasn't just a song, it was gratitude turned into melody. The risk paid off. It Was a Good Day became his biggest hit, breaking into the Billboard Top 20 and helping the Predator sell over 2 million copies. Fans who once saw him only as an angry voice now heard hope and warmth in his music. As radio host How Latukefu put it, when we were used to Cube talking about police brutality and race, he gave us a song of hope and freedom, wrapped in an Isley Brothers sample. That single track showed the world something new about Ice Cube. Beneath the fury and fire was a man who still believed in better days, and for once, he let the world see it. But beneath that man was another layer, one of a man who practiced what he preached. And Keke Palmer was at the receiving end. Just protect yourself. Before the world became aware of the drama surrounding Diddy, Ice Cube had already played a decisive role in Keke Palmer's life. Long before headlines and scandals, he had given the young actress a piece of advice she would carry with her forever. It happened years ago when they worked together on the 2008 film The Long Shots. Palmer was only 14 at the time, still new to Hollywood, when Ice Cube took her aside and spoke words that went far beyond the usual industry talk. He had told her that she was growing into a young woman, and while she might see herself as kind and respectful, others, especially men on set, might not see her the same way. He had advised her to protect herself, stay cautious, and never allow anyone to take advantage of her or misuse her kindness. Palmer later admitted that she didn't fully understand the weight of those words back then. She had simply nodded and moved on. But as the years passed, the message sank in. She realized Cube's advice wasn't just about the entertainment industry. It was more about life, self-worth, and survival in a world that often tried to exploit young women.
Because at the end of the day, they still are rooting for you.
That's right.
They want to see you beat them.
Ice Cube's simple words had left a deep mark. He had unknowingly equipped her with the mindset to face the darker side of fame and to value herself no matter the circumstances. For Palmer, those two words, protect yourself, became a lifelong mantra. Years later, that advice made even more sense when both Palmer and singer Cassie Ventura became part of a broader conversation about abuse in the entertainment industry. Palmer filed for a restraining order against her ex-partner, Darius Jackson, seeking full custody of their son after reports of alleged abuse. Around the same time, Cassie accused Diddy of years of assault and exploitation, a case that quickly reached a settlement. These stories brought painful truths to light about power and the need to protect women, especially in Black communities where such violence is often overlooked. They also showed how Ice Cube's old words to a young Keke Palmer carried more weight than ever. His message, once meant as quiet guidance to a teenager, had become a call for all women to recognize their worth and defend it fiercely. When you think of Ice Cube's music, what comes to mind? The raw energy or the message behind the lyrics? Ice Cube made history in the studio, but did he speak even louder on the big screen? Which version of Cube do you think hit harder, the rapper or the filmmaker?
We had the money, nigga. Right. Damn, my motherfucker.
You ain't have shit.
Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.